Okay, folks, good morning. Happy Saturday. And we will see if we can get done what we need to do this morning to stop at a reasonable place. Because I really don't want to stop. I'd rather get these guys done than not. So, and that spot is weathering on the KVs. Get all these extra glasses off. And let's put some of these paints away while we get our thoughts together here. So, good morning, Marcus. Yeah, I woke up. I could have gone on like another half hour, but old Sama Tobin got me hooked on watching the next season of what's the thing called that I like to watch. I wasn't aware of there was another season. Black Mirror. So I had about 20 minutes left of an episode, so I had that while I was having my breakfast, which I always have before I get on here because that's literally the first thing I do every morning is I go and eat. So I don't ever come on here without having breakfast. You can guarantee that. Mr. Carroll, good morning. Welcome back. So we're going to be weathering these two guys. It shouldn't take a long time at all. I just didn't want to do it at the point. I almost got on last night, but it would have been like 9:30, and yeah, I was already burned out by that point. Remember this journey starting on the hunt for these KVs. I watched the last session, so I'm up to date on the slogans. Okay, well I have to find out what it is. This is Zarodina. That's what this one is. Or Zarodinu. I always thought it was Zarodina. I don't know what this one is. It doesn't matter. It's a very common one as well. It's probably the second or third most common slogan. Like I mentioned in the other feed, I will not have any pro-Stalin things. I don't like the guy. I don't like Hitler either. Short little guys with mustaches suck. So, anyhow, so let's get the colors out here that we're gonna need. Just trying to clear up some space here. And I kind of missed the boat. I don't know. Missing the boat almost makes it sound. Well, it's not a work day. I wasn't expecting to bend over. I don't think that really counts. That counts like a half scrunch more than anything else. I kind of missed the boat implies that I kind of unintentionally did it on the AB figures thing. I think I can still order them, but I'm not going to order any of them from the thing where you can get free shipping because no, I have a lot of stuff that I haven't used. I got plastic figures to use for crewmen for these two tanks, and I'm perfectly happy with them. So I'm just going to use that. Even though the AB figures are awesome, I don't feel like spending 21 Australian dollars, even though it's free shipping to get them here. Sometimes you just got to be good. You just got to be happy with what you have, and stop throwing money at the problem. But one of the main things is that Noble Knight did not get back to me. They must be really busy or somebody's on vacation. They did not get back to me with the next quote. So I don't know if I'm going to be getting any British vehicles, which is really what I was getting them for. I don't have any British crews if I got British vehicles. Let's just get these out of the way so they're up here. Out of sight, out of mind. Yeah, I can't believe the patience that I have. Mr. Barnes, welcome. That I have not unboxed a single one of those things that I got and built them together. I really want to do those infantry guns. The Russian and the German infantry gun. But they can wait. They're still going to be there. They're not going to be that exciting. But I really stopped the house to do this because these have been a long time coming. Okay, so we need to get U.S. Field Drab, and we need to grab Iraqi Sand. And these are the two colors that I use on the bases, which is also something I'm going to need to do, is the bases on these two guys, is to cut it up, but we'll get to that later. I'm going to be going out of town for this weekend, so I want to make sure that it would be nice to get this complete, this portion complete. And if we get other things done this morning, that's cool too. Iraqi Sand, here we go. Iraqi Sand and Field Drab, and we will need a little bit of Nuln Oil, very little, for the exhaust. Okay, and I should be able just to dry brush over here. Go for it, painting. All right, go for it. Go long. Excellent. Good morning to you, sir or madam. Probably a dude. I don't know that I've got any female viewers. Sorry, women just aren't normally into this. I'm a big fan of women, but they just don't watch my stuff. That's okay. My daughter showed me a video of a guy who I think was Asian. I don't know if that makes a difference, and he was doing some crochet stuff. And I thought it was really freaking cool. I mean, I'm not going to get into that. It's a bit too late to be doing that stuff. And I can't be into everything, so. Now, this is, I don't have to do this, but since I had the foresight to not glue these in, I might as well use that to my advantage. And always start the weathering on the running gear. Because if it's too heavy, it's too heavy. Now, there's better ways to probably do this using Vallejo mud products and stuff like that. I like to say I like the kind of style that I use, which is kind of a cross between realism and a game piece. Kind of like, there's some Flames of War stuff that's that way on their website. And I like that. That's the style that I kind of prefer. You know, that's why I don't use chipping. Well, that's one of the reasons I don't use chipping. Chipping just didn't exist when I was doing 1/35th scale models. Let's see if we can get this a little bit more. And you know, I want to do a lot of vehicles. So the only way I'm going to be able to do that is I can't spend 400 hours on each vehicle. Mr. Nordic, welcome. My wife has listened to you. We have a small apartment. Oh man, your living accommodations probably, your small apartment probably costs 3 times more than what I pay here. That's okay. Hopefully you're compensated well for astronomical living conditions. Mr. Nordic, welcome back. Yeah, I would have been, man, a lot of people here this morning. I would have been on about another 30 minutes earlier, but I had to finish the episode of, and it was still early. I normally don't get in here before 6. Had to finish the episode of Black Mirror, which was, this season is good if you guys are watchers, but this one episode just, I didn't like how it turned out. It's not the direction I would have gone in. There's some themes that I just don't like in movies, and they just kind of bother me. And I would have just gone in a different direction. But I don't think I would have made it really well in the Hollywood area. I don't think I'd have a whole lot in common with those individuals. What are you using to my advantage? I don't know. Did I say that? How goes it, Barnes? A few rough days, but getting better slowly. Tendonitis in your elbow, pretty good. I'm experiencing a bout of it. Damn nerve pain from the elbow radiating down to my forearm, and I feel it in my knuckles, keeping you awake. Yeah, man, that's an all-nighter. Meanwhile, I couldn't stay up past 9:30 last night. I could have, but I would have had to have coffee, and the next thing you know, I'm up till 1. So, frame from calling you Hollywood Tony, yeah. There's a guy that came up to me. There's a guy that I know came up to Historicon last year, and he said, "Oh, I saw you in a movie." I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" I said, "Yeah, you sure? You sure I haven't seen you in a movie?" And I'm like, "All right, you're full of crap, because these are the only movies I do." So he went. He found this. Excerpt on YouTube where there's an extra that has some similarities to me. Let's put it that way, but it's not me. Well, what I should have said is, if I'm going to be in a movie, I'm going to be the main attraction, not some side show thing. No, I've been in. There's some movie floating around where I was in a high school play, which I'm not proud of because we don't look our best in certain parts of our lives. So, I think that's everybody. There's always some part of your life where you're not proud of how you look like, and that part of your life may be right now. It isn't for me, but so we're just going to do a little bit of dusting. We can't go crazy with this one because we still have to do another color on top of it, which is the lighter one. And then very little well, of course, one step that I never had to do before because it's removed. We can't forget to do this. It's your F elbow makes painting or doing hobby stuff impossible. You're left-handed? You hold your items, I paint in the left hand, and it's just too discomforting. Oh, okay. I know lots of people that are left-handed, and when I was in school, they didn't exist. I think they sent left-handed people, and I'm talking like early '80s. They sent left-handed people, and I apologize if you're left-handed, okay? But I'm going to make a little bit of fun at you guys right now at your expense. Hey, you guys should know that. I make fun of everything, myself included sometimes. In the early '80s, if you were left-handed, you got sent to the same colony that they sent people that were allergic to peanuts. It just didn't happen. I mean, yes, I saw occasionally 1 out of 1,000, maybe even less people left-handed. But you remember you had those little chairs that had the built-in like table with it. So you have this plastic chair, and it had this desk that came around it. And sometimes, there'd be 2 or 3 left-handed ones of those in a class. And if you got stuck sitting in one of those, you could still sit in a left-handed one. You just have to and it was, I don't think that I ever saw a left-handed person using a left-handed desk. Now that I think about it. Watching you try brush is hurting my elbow. Hold the phone with the other hand. So I am not everybody has their stylized things. I am not a fan of people that paint tracks uber rusty. I've just kind of come to grips with the fact that this dark brown simulates rust, dirt, mud really well. I'm really happy with it. If you're happy with if you're happy how you do it, slap it. If you're happy with how you're already doing it, do it the way you're already doing it. I'm not here to convert anybody. I actually don't really care how other people do things. I would make a terrible door-to-door salesman / I was going to say Jehovah's Witness. What do you call those people that knock from door to door trying to get you to jump on their bandwagon for their version of the afterlife? I haven't had enough coffee in me. Although I did get annoyed the other day that we're playing a family game, which is unusual, like a family board game. I'm going to refrain from playing anything that involves math at the end of a workday and after nightfall, because I sometimes feel like I'm going freaking senile. Like I can't even add stuff correctly. Like I just make dumb mistakes because I'm tired. I'm probably not sleeping enough. But hey, we got painting to do. And not major errors, but just fumbling kind of stuff, and it's annoying. I don't like to be a fumbler. None of us are perfect, but there's certain traits that we really would detest in ourselves if we had them. I'm not particularly fond of when I fumble something or drop something on the ground. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, I don't deal with it very well. I got a friend see, I can go ahead and put this. I'm going to go ahead and glue this in at this stage because the light dusting isn't going to have much of that in there. See, speaking of fumbling things, not having your glasses on increases the fumbling rate tremendously. Because I've got this really small field of view, which I have to use now because I can't paint 20/20 vision anymore because my vision is in 20/20. I got to use readers. Let's see. Good morning, chaps. I'm on the computer. Hey, Tony, have you looked at the Vallejo Express Colors and Army Painter Speed Paints and the Games Workshop paints? I've not, and I won't. It's not. I don't want to poo-poo them but that's a step back for me. That would be like Bob Ross using paint by number stuff. It's just a step in the wrong direction for me. No, they're not geared for me. Maybe if they would have come out in like 1987, I might have found them useful. But that's a step in the wrong direction. So I have not. They're not geared for me. AWI had a roadblock. Blue Moon is fine. Just had a string of bad scope, which down to a lack of quality control. Yeah, bad QC. That's a problem in a lot of things, but maybe they just threw them in a bag, didn't look. Are there a lot of those of you guys that do any 3D printing? Are there like a bad of is it likely to come up with a lot of bad 3D things? Like in other words, say you print 10 tanks. How many of those, once you get them going well, how many of those 10 tanks are usable? Does it end up being like, 8? I guess it probably varies a lot, but I went to one of the vendors that was selling things at the last show. They had a whole pile of like they were really inexpensive, but the problem is they were in the wrong scale. They were 28 millimeter. I have no use for 28 millimeter stuff. It was 28 millimeter and 15. They just skipped right over me. And they were selling things that didn't cast well for a pittance. Just a pittance. I actually watch Bob Ross all the time. It's relaxing as shit. And he's extremely well talented. Except when it comes to getting dressed. Yep. Yeah, he's brilliant. My daughter dressed as him for Halloween one year. She dressed as the female version of him. There we go. So she didn't have the crazy hair. And she didn't look like a dude. Yeah, I think he's extremely talented. There was a show I remember watching where he was has had his son on, and if you think Bob Ross's fashion sense is off, his son was even worse. I was like, holy crap, man. Okay, so I think we're to the point where we need that. Now, there's no rubber on these road wheels. The road wheels have no rubber, the idlers have no rubber on them. They're all steel, and I am hesitant of adding steel metal colors on this. I used to do that before, and it just doesn't look right. So I figured, okay, well, if it got scraped off, it quickly got covered in mud and so forth. So I think, yeah, I'm just gonna go. I'm going to go ahead and dry brush them, because that way I can get the top of these things well, and then I'll glue them in. Let's see. We got to go really light on this top of this. We'll go heavier with the next color, but just a little bit of. Nothing crazy. You try a couple things and you find out what works for you. You know, there's some things that other people do. They're like, man, I really like that. Let me implement that in my drawing, into my painting. And sometimes like, ooh, I wish I hadn't done that. But you know, it's the way they decided to do it. If he cuts corners, they can be horrid. Oh, you've used them? They just showed up on the scene too late, you know, for me to even try them. And a lot of stuff that's out there is geared for people that want to mass produce so much stuff. Like even 3D printing. Oh, you could just buy one file and have 50 tanks of the same one. Why do I need 50 tanks of the same one? You know? Yes, I would like to 3D print some buildings, but the reality is that the slow pace that I paint, even when I'm just working one thing at a time. I even told my wife this. Yes, I was bold enough to tell my wife this. Um, I can buy anything I want as long as I paint it next. So you know why get a 3D printer where I can print out 10 buildings? I can only paint them one at a time. Because she doesn't want me getting a 3D printer and getting frustrated and screaming at the thing when it doesn't work one day and it works the next. And no, I do not need that shit in my life. I don't remember if this is glued down or not. Looks like it is. Didn't seat well up here. Oh well, we'll just leave that to good old quality Russian construction. I didn't think that was an issue on here, but I'm not going to go back and revisit that. What do you plan to get when you get your offer? I don't know. It's been 5 days now. I didn't hear back from them. I even sent them another email because I wanted to hear back from them yesterday at the latest so that I could know if I was going to get any British vehicles. So if I knew I was going to get British vehicles, I would jump on the bandwagon and get some AB Crews. I don't want to buy British AB Crews and not have any British vehicles. So I just didn't order anything from AB, and I'm okay with that. I thought about it for a while, and I just didn't want to throw in money at the problem. And sounds like something the government would do. Throw money at the problem. Ah, it's not our money. Who cares? Yeah, it is. And we got a headlight to paint on each one of these two. I leave that afterwards. I don't want a dry brushed with weather headlight. My headlights are clean. It's just a stylistic choice I've decided to make. But I didn't hear back from them, so somebody must be on vacation or they must be overwhelmed or something. But so there's not a whole lot left there that I'm really was going to say jonesing for, but not really jonesing for anything. But it'd basically be British vehicles. Thinking trying the Viejo Express, Frescolor. It's about 2 excellent counter games I've been eyeing for a while, so I think I'll likely purchase them both when my credit gets put on your account. So they've already gotten back to you? Well, they're too busy giving you a quote to give me one. Nah, you know, the funny thing is the stuff that I send them to give me the second quote is a lot less complicated to figure out than my first one. I think somebody's on vacation. That's all. But it said, we'll get back to you in 1 to 3 days. It's been 5. You know, not counting weekends. Now, today would be 6 if they got back to me today. That's okay. I haven't even unboxed the stuff that I got last time. And I'm doing that on purpose. Because I want to do videos of them. It's an opportunity to show off some other stuff, you know. So I'm waiting to do that until I actually start working on them. I already got pulled off my house to do these. So we're going to do these and we'll go back to the house and hopefully finish it in the next week. But we'll see. The house will be done to my liking. You know, that's the benefit of not having to do stuff for a show or for a game. I'm just kind of doing it, and it gets done when it gets done. Because this whole rush thing, no. I'm rushed way too much at work. And there's no other way about it. Oh, well, that's just the way your job is. Okay, well, my hobby's not going to be that way. Or I'll find another fucking hobby. Okay, that's done. Starts getting kind of goopy. I'm going to actually rinse this out so we can get back to some of the flexibility on the bristles. So yeah, I would have liked to have heard back from them so that, get some crews. I decided not to get Russian crews. I've got plastic Russian figures that I specifically got for them that I'm happy with. And most of you have not seen them inside of a vehicle. So there's another reason to do. I like using the stuff that most people don't use. You don't need more people doing Legio Heroica figures. They're absolutely gorgeous figures. You don't need me doing them. You know, maybe I can do stuff that a brand that you guys aren't familiar with. I don't know. And I already have them. It's not like, hey, purposely buy the shitty stuff, or the second tier stuff. I just happen to have them. Assuming items on Thursdays, I won't be expecting a credit until probably the end of the week. Yeah. I had a good experience with them, but they're not fast. They don't move fast. But they have a lot of stuff at their store, so they probably have a lot going on. We're going to make it a little cooler than that. Let's go about right there. So there will not be a tomorrow morning painting session. I'm going out of town. Father's Day / birthday. Hey, I don't have to work on my birthday. I'm not doing that again. I'm not working on my birthday again. That's just, happy birthday. Yeah, thanks. I'm here. Damn it. Nope. Not working on my birthday again. Didn't have to take a day off this time. But I did have to share it with Father's Day. Damn it. Again, I was in a meeting yesterday with an older fellow, and we were talking about stuff. It's like, oh, how long have you been here? I said, well, I've almost been here 30 years. I said, man, how old are you? I said, well, I'll be 52 in a couple days. 52, you look great. And I told him, I said, it's not that I look great at 52. It's that most people that are 52 look terrible. SPQR Deluxe. Cool. Great Battles of Julius Caesar with same engine. Thank you, Nordic. I bought myself something for Father's Day that I've been wanting for a while, and I still haven't unboxed it. And it's a tool type thing, and I'll do an unboxing on it as well. And it's something I've been wanting for a long time, and I don't think I would get much use out of it unless, except this World War II thing that I'm on. So we'll do an unboxing on that. But I've gotten it for like 4 days and I haven't done it. Maybe that's a sign of maturity. Like you get things and you don't open them yet. You don't feel like, I gotta see what's inside. Well, you can watch somebody else's unboxing and get the thrill out of that, but I do have to open it relatively soon. If there's a problem, I can return it. So my wife goes, what do you want to do for your birthday? I said, well, we're going to Jacksonville. I want to go to IKEA. What does Tony want to do on his birthday? He wants to go to IKEA. I might find something. I feel like I would like to get something that's a little bit more organization here. Nothing crazy, but just see what's out there. And the good thing about IKEA is if you do find something there, it's at a reasonable price. And a lot of their stuff isn't made in China, believe it or not. So yeah, we don't have one of those here. It's like, I don't need stuff, fortunately. I got pretty good self-control. So yeah, the tool is going to be useful in the next step, which is making woods and so forth. That's what it's going to be useful for. And it's not what you think it is. It's not one of those what do you call it? Those things that are electric and you connect them to a flock distributor, a static grass distributor. I don't know. I'm kind of soured on static grass over the years. I'm more of a Tuft person now. SPQR has 19 battles in it, dealing with the Punic Wars and the Wars of the Roman Republic. So it writes in great battles of Julius Caesar. Does SPQR have the? Yeah, it has the. I actually thought about getting that for the scenarios. Back when I used to play an Ancients game. Yeah, I think the SPQR Deluxe has a lot of stuff in there. It's got even some Pyrrhic War stuff and I'd like to play those games, but I'm just not interested in sitting reading through a rule book and teaching somebody else to play it. I'd rather build models. If you work somewhere that is frustrating, if your work is frustrating, I, for one, am not really willing to do any of the actions that I find frustrating and I'm forced to do on my free time at all. And one of those things is explain incessantly the same shit to people over and over again. I just don't want to do that. Like, fine, fall off the fucking cliff. I don't care, Pyrrhic Wars, Punic Wars. Juggertine. I'm just not interested in Numidia. I'm just not. And it all has to do with those guys just didn't dress cool enough for me. It's got nothing to do with they're from Africa. They just didn't have. They don't have any headgear or anything. It's just like they're just boring. They just don't interest me. Yeah, Juggertine War, not interested. But there's lots of other stuff that's good value. There's one battle in there that's a really cool battle. I'm pretty sure it's in that SPQR set, and it's a battle with the Gauls. The Gauls and the Samnites. I think that battle's in there. I could be wrong. The Gauls and the Samnites, and they basically have the Romans surrounded. If I'm thinking of the right one, that's a cool battle. Keeping games as systems that have a number of games in the system. Learn the rules once, just need to read the game specific rules. I had a set of rules that was that way. It was the one by Avalanche Press called The Second World War at Sea, and I had 3 or 4 games in it. I ended up selling them all because I just didn't have anybody to play the strategic game with. You know, and they all had common. Here I am not paying attention. I didn't dry brush the top of the TKV2 with this color. Not a big deal. Yeah, so I ended up selling it. Bomb Alley and Bismarck, and I had Bomb Alley, I had Bismarck, I had who the hell did I sell those to? I think I sold them on eBay. Should have sold them Noble Knight. I probably didn't know about Noble Knight. It was a while ago when I got them, when I got rid of them. The original one. And I just sold them the World War I one, which was the first one that came around. If I want them bad enough, I'll get them again. You know, I just don't have anybody that's really into that stuff. You know, I got them because I wanted to play the strategic game with them, and then when he played the tactical game, you know, play Siegfried for the tactical game. I'm not interested in playing a tactical naval game that has vague details. That's like blasphemy as far as I'm concerned. That's not what I'm looking for. Yeah, I get that. One operating system and it works for everything. As long as you like the operating system. Of course, you got to take a chance on that very first one that you get of them. Like, man, I hope I like this. And then you do, like, all right, we'll get more. I really like that Arquebus. And I ended up picking it up at a flea market for $10. I figured, well, I could use this for scenarios when I do some Renaissance stuff. Never did anything with it for 2 years. I got tired of looking at it. And I didn't like that the leaders weren't specific. They didn't have certain leaders in it. It was like, you know, French Commander 1, French Commander 2. And then it could be, in this scenario, French Commander 2 is so-and-so. They didn't give me a counter for so-and-so. And I'm like, well, that's kind of bummy, you know. But ended up selling it. And I think I got 4 times what I paid for it. So that's pretty cool. And sometimes you take a loss. Sometimes, you know, you only get $3 or $4 for something that you paid 20 or 30 or more for. And sometimes you have something that's kind of out of print. I just sent them some stuff, and it's things that I realized I have no interest in learning how to play the game, or I played the game and didn't care for it. That's the case of Force on Force. And I know it's been out of print for like 10 years. I said, well, maybe they'll offer me a good amount for it. Beautiful rule set. I just don't care for the rules. They're extremely vague. Extremely vague. Okay, this is just with the first color on. I think we're going to stop there as far as dry brushing goes. You know how that goes. Try best to make sure the games are either solitaire specific or have a very high solitaire rating. When you play games solitaire, do you talk to yourself? And I don't mean not like a crazy person. Now I've gotten used to talking to myself. Here we are. I do if I'm working on something pretty complicated, just to kind of keep myself on track. Operational Studies Group, Library of Napoleon. That's just too long a title. They need to cut that down to size. The Operational Studies Group of Library of Napoleonic Battles. That just sounds like exhausting, saying that. But I know what you're talking about. Well, I'm glad you found something that you liked. You know, if you do board games, there's a lot of stuff out there. You know, There's a lot of stuff out there. There's several years ago, I came across this guy that was putting together a board game. It wasn't a miniatures game, it was a board game. And he had been playtesting it for a while. And I contacted him and he gave me a copy of the game. And I printed it out. This is through Board Game Geek. And it's a game that is kind of like what I'm doing here. Individual people, that kind of stuff. And within several months, he stopped working on the game. And the game was pretty far along. He had health issues and couldn't continue it. And I'm like, and it was really cool. It had some innovative stuff. I still have the copy of it. And but it used a board that each hex was just small enough for one person to fit on. And that's what I like. Because there's several other board games, there's a few of them that have come out now, that the board looks like Squad Leader. Okay, in other words, say you have like a house, and the house is at most 3 hexes. But it's individual people. And that's just like too many things stacked on top of each other. Like, if you've got counters, if you've got half-inch counters and you have, a regular dwelling, the dwelling should be at least like this big, so you can be in multiple places. Not like, okay, it's 2 hexes and you can stack 6 high. It's too fumbly, for me, for my taste. I'm going to let this one rest. Let's grab another one that's not as violated. There's a lot of Squad Leader ripoffs, unfortunately. I don't know how that goes. I find it feels dirty. I was a huge fan of ASL. I still think it's a good game. My biggest gripe with the game is that the turn phases are too structured. It's too predictable when things can move at you. And my second gripe with the game is it's a 2d6 game. I don't like the 2D. I don't like the bell curve game systems. But I've played some of them, and I've played a lot of Advanced Squad Leader. I mean, I don't know, 50, 60, maybe over 60 games a long time ago, and enjoyed it. I just got rid of them because the person I used to play with just didn't want to play it. My local player he was kind of a scientist type, and he didn't want to be challenged. He wanted to do grindy things. Well, let's play this that we already know how that's going to turn out, but we're going to do it just for the case of doing it. And I mentioned this before. I am, whether I realize it or not, I have been scarred by my childhood of writing sentences. So I am personally predisposed to hate anything that is just busy work. I absolutely detest that it's busy work. So if it's something that is just like, well, here's something to keep you busy, I'm like completely against it. And I don't know if that's my nature or was created because of doing things that were basically a waste of time. And, we're only going to be on this earth a certain amount of time. We might as well do something worthwhile. Like building plastic tanks. But he didn't want to play things that were challenging. And although I did get him to play sometime, he had the rules as well and had some good games with them. Kind of like Mitch, they were really close. Would win about half the time, and I don't know, he just wasn't that interested in. There was another guy I ran into town that was really into ASL, really into it, but he would refuse to go and play and roll dice. He had the computer moderated one, and it would automatically roll dice for you. So he wanted to play the game with it automatically rolling dice because he's one of these dice phobic people. Like, I don't know, the dice are out to get me. Well, the dice are only out to get you if you give them that power. I don't know where these people come from that think that they roll terrible. Well, maybe I happen to think that I roll better than most people, so maybe that's why I do want to use dice. But I've never been a dice phobic person. But hey, you know. But yeah, there's a lot of ASL ripoffs, and I don't know how they get away with it. That one that I mention all the time, that has a computer one, that the computer game that's called, I can never remember the name of it. Anyways, it's a total. I mean, the freaking numbers on the counters mean the same thing. Like, at least make it different. Change the scale of the game, you know. Exactly the same scale of the game, exactly the same thing on the counters. Sure, the counters look different. And it's a 1d6 system, not a 2d6 system. What's it called? Lock and Load. Lock and Load is totally an ASL ripoff. Especially their Stalingrad map. It's literally a ripoff of map one. That's like, have you no mother? You know, I mean, you know, the ASL, the squad leader maps for Stalingrad were made up locations, right? That doesn't really look like Stalingrad. It was just a made up location. And they're classic looking or whatever. So you just made those up for a scenario. Okay, fair enough. But somebody copied you and made the exact same map, or damn near the same map, because at first glance it looks, all the buildings are in the same places. The same map as your squad leader map. How do you even get yourself to do something like that? They're just made up maps. Make your own, right? Nope, they copied them. I don't know how the hell they got away with it. I mean, unless it's the same people that are working on both. And then I can say, okay, well, they're just porting over their old work, you know. I'd like to give ASL a shot at some point, but I really need to be in the mood to do squad level games. I have a too tactically inclined mind, so I prefer battalion, brigade, division seat. Well, isn't a squad leader game more tactical? That's the scale I like. I don't like to move things around like Eisenhower. You can get a politician to do that shit. That's just not. I'm not interested in that. That narrative, you know, I'm not even interested in reading books that are on that level. It just doesn't interest me. And it doesn't interest me because I've read books on that level before, and it's just like, okay, well, this could have been any army. You know, I mean, I want to read about, okay, what tank unit was it? All right, how were they camouflaged? What numbers there were on the turrets? That kind of shit, you know. Loved squad leader, but found ASL a little too much. Still have them somewhere. Yeah, I don't know why people thought ASL was too much. The thing I really liked about dislikes about some of the scenarios was that, this hill's now all woods. Okay, well, give me an overlay for it. Instead of like, I'm trying to squint my brain to figure out what's really going on there. I'm a what you see is what you get kind of guy. You know? That's me. That looks pretty decent. And again, the whole idea is, my whole mode of thinking is it needs to look good up close too. You know, it needs to look good at 3 feet, and also needs to look good when you're on top of it. And maybe that's a function of the fact that I'm nearsighted, and I can see all those details. So if I can see them, I don't want them to look poor. This is how I do modulation. If you guys caught that video that I did where I thought I had done this backwards and then I actually didn't. Wow, that was a freaking, I used up one of my miracles there. It wouldn't have been a big deal to redo it. It's just a kind of a waste of time to have to redo things. I don't want to do things wrong the first time. No point in fixing something when you can be creating something new and it's in the same time. Yeah, those tracks just click in there. Yeah, I'm gonna glue them in. It just saves me some time. It's not that I can reach anything I can see. But there's no point in, things taking longer than they should for the same, effect. They make intro kits in ASL now, slowly teach you the game. Thought I'd pick up the first one and see if I like it. Go watch a video of somebody playing it. That's even better. A lot of those things you can like the way the game looks, I think the game looks excellent. I mean, I think that the way they do their counters, the presentation of the game is excellent. Best looking rule book I've ever seen in my entire life. Very clear. The opposite of other games that I played the last 18 years. That's how you do stuff. But that's Avalon Hill. Avalon Hill, I mean, it's not Avalon Hill now, but I mean, it's still in the same spirit of it. But that's how it was. Their shit was easy to understand. Or maybe we played the game amongst ourselves and it was good enough we didn't put it out on video for us to be judged by, everybody on the internet. So maybe that's a different thing too. But it seemed like the rule books weren't vague at all. There was a couple of rules that were really shaky. Mainly the oh man, what do they call it? It's called when you move within the hex, but you're actually not moving through there. That stuff was kind of a little abstracty. That didn't happen very often. I forget what it was called. There was a certain name for it, but you don't have to do those kind of moves if you don't want to. So I have nothing really bad to say about it other than the I go, you go with the forced phases, with things happening at certain time within the phases is a little too wooden for my taste. I think that Lock and Load Tactical made it a better game because that way it's like you basically get to activate your one unit and they can do whatever it is you want. You can move with them, you can attack with them or whatever, and then when they're done, they're done. And then you switch back and forth. And you may want to pass. I think that system's a lot better. But again, it looks almost exactly like the same game, but I think it plays a lot better. And I've played on it a fair amount on the computer. I haven't played it in a while. And it looks, I'm a fan of board games being on computer, especially if they look good. And that one particularly looks good. But it's still an ASL ripoff. So hopefully they didn't rip them off. Hopefully they gave them the credit that they needed. Because ain't nothing bothers me more than freaking attorneys getting rich off of other people's problems. Just resolve things amongst yourselves. Okay. Let's take a look at this at 3 feet away. Hot damn. Yeah, me likey. Me likey. Makes this one look like crap. Well, this one, the T34 doesn't have a lot of detail. Let's grab something out here that does have that kind of detail. Let's grab the JSU. She's got nice detail. Some of these Skytrax models are, yeah, they look equivalent. It looks good on the. It looks good on the TV too. Yeah, that's the thing is you gotta have some dye brushing and you gotta have some dark colors in there. And we still have the headlight and the saw here to paint, so that you can see it at a distance. If it looks too realistic at 3 or 4 feet away, it just looks like a blob. But it also needs to look good up close. Let's see. Oh, I'm an idiot. I could just do it with a phone. Let's see what this thing looks up close. And again, you're getting a lot of kickback from this light. I think these are excellent little models. Yeah, see how the color changed there? So, really happy with how that turned out. And we're still not done, but we're mostly done with that one. What does the saying mean? I don't know what this one means. I have to look it up. It's a common one though. This one is Zarodinu. So, really good ASL dedicated channel that goes into a boot camp for the game. I actually like the small turret KV tanks. Just wish they were not all green. Yeah, well, I have some three color camouflage stuff to do for some of them, but we got to get the normal stuff done first. You can't start doing all the weird shit first. Anyhow. It's funny, the small turret KV tank. I know what you mean. Yeah, it is the small turret compared to the other one. It's a good looking vehicle. It's an attractive looking vehicle, in my opinion. You know? Imagine the KV-2 tank and the British counter scheme. There we go. Well, that's why I was looking at the slogans. The slogans are probably painted neater than the real slogans were. And I don't mind buying decals, but you got to find them. They got to come in. You got to pay shipping for them. You got to put stuff on them to make sure that they don't. That you don't see them. You know, it's like, look, I can paint slogans, so why don't I? And I really enjoy doing it. It'd be like if I got decals for shields in 15 millimeter. Why? That's the thing I enjoy doing more than anything else. Is painting shields, painting the heraldry. Man, I do like painting heraldry a lot. Oh, didn't do this on the back. I do like painting heraldry a lot. I could say a lot more than I should, but everybody should enjoy painting heraldry. Unless your personal heraldry from your family is a shitty one, you don't want to be reminded of it. There's a guy that I know, his heraldry is like a fucking baker with an arrow through him. Like, you made one bad recipe too many, you know. True story, that's his heraldry. Mine's badass, so I don't mind heraldry. You hand-painted Greek hoplite shields on 10 mil, and that was a blast. There you go. Yeah, it is. You just have to pace yourself. When you're painting a design on a shield, the very first thing you got to do is you got just like when you sketch, if you start painting somebody's face, get everything so it's in the correct location. There's nothing worse than doing a great job on something and it's not centered. You're like, damn it, now I got to redo it again. Now, this body is common to both tanks. So this, when I do this other KV2, KV1 turret, and I want to use two KV1s, one of them will be, this hull. The other one will be this one that I'm working on. So. And I wish I would have done the up armored KVs, but I told you the reason why I didn't do them is because I didn't want that extra armor on the front, and the KV2s never had it. So I just need to search for another pack of these, 2 packs, and get more KVs, and then do the heavy armor ones, because the heavy armor ones look cool with the rivets. Not that a KV1 needs any more armor in 1941. It's difficult enough to freaking deal with. But that's what you get when you invade freaking Mother Russia. It's surprising that the Germans were really brilliant at some things, and they really sucked at other things. And one of the things that they really sucked at, well, other than just being, an evil regime, we're not talking about that. I'm talking about, like intelligence failures. Like, they didn't know about this KV tanks. Like, how the hell did they not know about the KV tanks? They had a whole lot of people. They had some brilliant minds in the Wehrmacht, and they had a lot of yes men. And if the yes men had any kind of authority, whatever they were in charge of, they didn't do really well. They might have been political buddies, but they weren't really efficient at whatever it was that they did, which ultimately is a good thing for us all. But they have that saying where it's like, oh, you're a detail Nazi about stuff. Yeah, the Nazis weren't really into details, or the party member stuff. The party member folks, they were really deficient in a lot of things that would have made them a lot more successful had they not been. And ultimately, it's a good thing, but that whole idea that Nazis are really detailed. I'd like to see you try your hand at painting some British North Africa. I can't wait. I can't freaking wait. I'm telling you. If they had, if whatchamacallit had those honeys, if Noble Knight had the pack of honeys from Plastic Soldier Company, I'd be all over that shit like nobody's business. I love me some honeys. Or Matildas. Man, Matilda's a 1/72nd scaler. Really hard to get a hold of a good model. Even the S model ones. Supposedly the S model, I'm not a Matilda expert, but supposedly the S models, Matildas were not the same. There were some differences in the one that went to North Africa and the ones that were traded to Russia. And the S model ones are all Russian ones, and I love me some. They had Valentines, but I'm not a Valentine fan. All right, I need to get some beverages. I will be right back in a jiffy. Yeah, Plastic Soldier Company does make also makes cruisers, but they make the wrong ones. And the ones for Africa, that's one of those things that if you know too much, you're like, well, no, I can't do it. You know, if I go and do it and it's wrong, well, it's already done. You know, but they make the A9s. They make the A9s. What I want is A13 Mark IIs and Crusaders, but A13 Cruiser Mark IVs, and S model makes them, but they don't make the one that has the additional armor on the turret, which is the ones that went to North Africa. The ones that S model makes are the ones that were abandoned at Dunkirk, and I'm just not interested in the British and France in 1940. I can't be in everything. Because then they fight those stupid Germans with the tanks with no turret storage things, you know, which looks silly. But I'll get some North Africa. See, I'm excited to do it, yeah. And armored cars and shit like that. British armored cars are badass. I don't care if they're, you know, if some of them aren't the best. That's cool looking. Yeah, I can't wait to do that, man. You have no idea. And the Plastic Soldier 25 pounders, I think they come with 2 sets of crews. One of them for Europe and one of them for North Africa, and they're like bare chested. That's awesome. That's awesome. Speaking of bare chested, I go on Facebook this morning. There's an ad by that one guy that I don't have a problem with his stuff, but I'm old school and I'm pretty thick skinned. And that was promoting some stuff on a historical website one time. And just these girls these topless girls that were, you know, historical fighting. I don't know if they're historical. They're like elves or something like that. And it was like all over my thing. I remember showing it to my wife, and my wife's like, yeah, those look pretty nice. Just not really my cup of tea. Six-pounder anti-tank gun. Well, the 6-pounder anti-tank guns, you got to get the 2-pounders first. A 6-pounder is a brutal weapon in the desert. Brutal. First of all, it's pretty good to begin with, and then you're talking about there's no German armor that has more than maybe 60 millimeters of armor in any one location before Alamein. I don't think anything has more than 60 millimeters combined. You just get raped. You just get raped by a 6-pounder or those kind of things. Of course, I like the desert in 41. 42, you start getting a lot of just a little different. I prefer the 41 stuff. You're into it? Well, I enjoys a different nationality in South Africa, India, Australia. Also just finished some SAS last fall. I do not want any SAS that are dressed like Arabs. Just something about it just doesn't interest me. So I like the different nationalities. What kind of sucks is that you could pretty much use the same troops for all of them. Um, if they're wearing a helmet, you can't really tell them apart. Italians, man, I can't wait to do Italians. Because people are like, Italians look stupid. No, they don't. Not if you, you know, put effort into, just like these Soviet tanks. Oh, just paint them all green. Well, if you paint them all green and don't give them any personality, yeah, nobody's going to want to play Russians because they're freaking boring looking. That's why people like to play Germans, because German stuff is interesting. But if you make everybody interesting, whether it's Shermans or T-34s or whatever, give them each some personality, like they did in real life. Maybe not every vehicle, but there are certainly vehicles that have personality. They'll make them more interesting to play. That's just my philosophy. Of course, the problem is that I'm in everything World War II, and I'm proving Tony's statement true. 41. I like Operation Crusader. I like Operation Crusader. Lasted a long time. Went back and forth. Um, it's got Honeys. It's got Matildas. It's got Crusaders. It's got A13s. Even has some Valentines. Not a fan of the Valentine. Plastic Soldier Company does make Valentines. They were supporting the New Zealanders that they attacked up the coast road. Make a big table. Imagine like a table is like 8 by 8, and it's just wrecks at City Rizet at the airfield. That's like awesome. Of course, wrecks take a lot more trouble to make than real ones, but than non-wreck vehicles. But Operation Crusader is the one I like. Rommel almost got captured. Crazy shit. Crazy shit. Pacific Theater. I've never painted Japanese aircraft. I don't think I ever have. All the models I did never did Japanese aircraft. If I had to do Pacific, I'd probably do Burma. Although I don't know anything about it. Not really much. But there's an opportunity, of course, to learn about it by working on the period. But I'm not gonna argue with you. It'd be fun to play Japanese. I'd be very loud playing Japanese. And the Japanese have some cute things that are just not very good. I have a Hago, extremely cute, not a very good tank. It's a very good tank if the other guys don't have a tank. Have you guys seen any manufacturers that are either Russian or Ukrainian that have been affected by the war? Like you can't get their stuff anymore. Is there somebody out there? You mentioned Strelsets. They're Russians. Anybody that has been the supply has been shut down because of that, or very difficult to get a hold of. I thought that maybe that was the problem with these guys, is that with Pegasus, because I thought there was a Russian company, to be honest with you, because they make a lot of Russian things, and good for them, because sometimes people make every single thing the Germans did, and then nothing for anybody else. But they have a fair amount of Russian things. I almost thought it was a Russian company, but no, they're Chinese. So, anything out there that's been affected by those two? The models have some great freaking decal options, man. You buy one tank and you get like decals for, not everyone, but the ones I've got, like freaking 8 or 9 vehicles off one decal set. That's excellent. Only one I was really kind of disappointed in was a Dragon. Dragon's held in really high regard, and I don't really care for their vehicles very much. They're a little too spindly, you know? We're gonna have to dust this thing before we ever do anything with it. I mean, I guess they're realistically sized. I mean, the 20mm cannon on this is beautiful, but I'm not gonna let anybody turn it. I'll turn that for you. It's just very, like, easy to break. I haven't done these. They may end up getting done in North Africa. Just probably not, but I'm just saying, they're not painted. It's possible. Got to do Brits before I'm worried about the Africa Corps, because the British vehicles can't go both ways, but the Africa Corps, the German vehicles can. So I got to make sure that I get desert vehicles for the British that I'm happy with before I start converting anything else for anyone else. One company had their new molds pinched by the Russians outside of Kharkov. I think they were Carthaginians. You just bought your first model as a Soviet armored train car with 2 T-26 turrets, OB3. Yeah, their instructions could be better. But I would buy another one in a heartbeat. I've been eyeing their M10 tank destroyers, but I just don't want to spend $25 for one model at this point. And I am so worried about getting a Armor Fast M10, and it'd be the old model that doesn't have the gun breech. An M10 is not an M10 without a gun breech. That's extremely visible. Extremely visible. Let's take a look at this big monster thing. And it looks pretty decent on the screen for you guys too. Looks good 3 feet away, man. Okay, so far so good. Let's paint the saw on both of these. Let's see what you guys said here while I was painting. Seems like it was slow a while. Now deliveries are picking up. All right, let's get rid of this. We got live paint here. Let's put this somewhere else for that to dry, so I don't end up putting it on the bottom of this and then transferring it somewhere else. God, I really want to build that Russian and German infantry gun, but it can wait. Haven't even opened it. It's actually not openable. A lot of the boxes came sealed. There's This is the one I really want. This is the one I really want to do. These Soviet trucks. I can't remember if it comes with the windscreens open or closed. They're closed. Okay, that's fine. I don't have to pick the driver in there. And I actually saw some really good examples of painting the windscreen, so I get to try that. PSC News. Okay, what's the PSC News? I love PSC. They're not perfect, but they're a good value. Due to popular demand, we have created some great value hard plastic 172nd and 115 platoon packs to make really useful building blocks. I was thinking of ordering that kit. Would split with a friend since there's so many. Dad, look at the German Steyr cars from PSC. They're ugly as shit. I just do not like the Steyr cars. No, I don't have any plans on getting them. No, they're ugly. Those Ford-nosed cars are freaking ugly as shit. Sorry. I did almost pick up the motorcycle set from Italy. It was in this last batch. But the problem is the motors, because I don't have any motorcycle troops, and they're in a lot of scenarios. They're all like Africa Corps dressed, so. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this. I like how the Horch cars look. I don't like how the Steyr cars look or the Steyr trucks. They're just ugly. Maybe I'll get them at some point, but man, they're ugly. Okay, we're gonna need some black for this. And of course it's dried out. Let's see how this system works. Oh, Tony, your wet palette needs getting wet. Okay, well, we have this distilled water that's right here. A little more. I know, they don't have too much. Well, I got paper towels to soak some of it up, but we got to get up there in this corner. I don't know that it's too much. Yeah, the Steyr cars are ugly. Of course, those Russian trucks are ugly too, you know. I mean, unless you're a fan of the Waltons. Universal carriers look. I have no idea. But I don't want to get sidetracked into Britain. I got lots of British troops that I like. I got some cool looking British lads to paint. But I don't have any of their armor. I don't have any. You know, if I get one of the things that I'm going to end up getting, unless somebody snipes it from me when I get this credit, assuming I hear back from them, it's been a while, is some British vehicles. The Churchills and Shermans. Now, the Churchills are like the Panthers. You only get 2 of them in the thing, but still, you get a lot of options, and they're durable. All right, what do we need the black for? Oh, the saw. The universal carriers have a lot of options. A lot of options. I'm not one of those people that is happy painting gray for metallic things. I use a metallic color. I've seen other people do it, and it looks good. I'm just, what the hell else am I going to use the metallic colors for? I wish this room was a different shape. I'd buy another one of these tables and put it over here next to it. Move this to the corner, and then we can have a corner set up. And then I can do stuff like, leave the house over to one side, not hide it somewhere, because I've got a pretty good setup here. This room isn't ideal for this. That's the only thing I'm looking forward to moving. I'm not looking forward to moving. I really don't want to move, but at some point I probably will. My hobby room will be better. Not that there's anything wrong with this. It's just designed poorly. You've got wall space that's not really useful. You got a closet that's about designed by someone with zero foresight. Okay, this looks like it's a cable running from here to here. I could put an extra log or something here, but I'm just going to leave these guys as they are. Get another one, a set of these, and then maybe put some extra logs or something on the side. But the problem with putting extra logs is then you got to put in how they're attached to the thing, and I'm not interested in doing little manufacturing bits of twine or cables or something holding this stuff up. Weathering on the machine gun. I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to put an antenna on here or not. It goes right here. Probably going to forego doing it. Hoping no one snipes the 2 games I want. What games are they? I can't tell somebody. They'll get rid of them. They only have 1 copy. There are a lot of copies of some things. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of grief for not playing in the game that they have on a Saturday next weekend. But they're going to play Flames of War. I don't want to play Flames of War. I might go over for a drink, but I don't want to play Flames of War. Especially, there's some folks in the game group that don't play other things. Well, you guys have converted me now. Now I'm one of them too. I don't want to play stuff. I don't want to play that. It's not like, you never tried playing Flames of War. Yeah, I did. I don't like it. SPQR Deluxe and Napoleon Invades Spain from Operational Studies Group. They gotta have a lot of copies of SPQR Deluxe. That's a pretty popular game. Would you rather play Command Decision over Flames of War? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think Command Decision is better than. Now, I have only played up to the second version of Command Decision. I think Command Decision is better than Flames of War, and it's also better than Rapid Fire. I don't like either one of those two. And I have a hard time deciding which one I dislike more. I probably dislike them both. Yeah, Command Decision's better. The problem with Flames of War, the problem with Flames of War and Rapid Fire, Flames of War definitely doesn't have opportunity fire, which is not necessarily something that it has to have, but it has one of those things where, okay, it's your turn to fire and you just receive, and so you could like get blown up before you even get a chance to respond. And Command Decision has phases that both people get to participate in at the same time simultaneously, as long as they did the correct type of thing. So, yeah, the Command Decision, the part that I didn't like about Command Decision is there didn't seem to be very meaningful things you could do on your turn, but that's the same problem with that scale of game. It's like, it's kind of obvious what you kind of do, but at least both sides participate equally in it. And the infantry rules were just, you got infantry that can only attack, very, very close. So you just need to scale the terrain down a little bit more. But I played Command Decision when I was a kid, so I'm sure we were doing all kinds of things incorrectly. But I still have the rules. The Command Decision second is infinitely better than the first one. They're still the same game, but it's just fleshed out more. But yeah, neither one of those two games, in my opinion, are better than Command Decision. Now, I like this. And what I really don't like about Flames of War is that supposedly it's a 1-to-1 scale game. Well, it sure as hell doesn't feel like one, because Rapid Fire feels like a 1-to-5. Rapid Fire is the same scale with Command Decision, so I'm used to that. It feels right. But for a 1-to-1 scale game, and then to be as vague as it is, yeah, count me out. People enjoy the game, let them enjoy the game, but I have no interest in learning how to play the game, or it's a waste of a Saturday for me. I'd rather do something else on a Saturday. You really don't enjoy a game when you're like, I'd rather not play a game than play one. I just don't think it's a fun game. Like, for instance, they play a lot of Commanding Colors, Napoleonics, and stuff like that. I don't think it's a very good representation of the Napoleonic period, but it's a fun game, so I'll play that. But that always gets played while I'm at work on a Monday, so I don't get to participate in that very often. Like, DBA is a great game, or was a great game. The only reason I don't play it anymore, I'm tired of fighting the rules. I'm tired of continually finding problems with them, and I can't make it better. It's not that it wasn't a fun game. I enjoyed just about every game I played of it. It's got nothing to do with that. The phalanx of tanks. No, a phalanx would mean that, yeah, it's dumb as hell. And that could be totally solved by the fact that you could shoot through your own vehicles. If it's one tank, if this represents one tank, but it can only shoot 24 inches away, then every inch is 25 yards, 50 yards. So if the vehicles, even if they're a bunch, are that far away from each other, they shouldn't block their own line of fire. Because I don't like a 1-to-1 scale game where the terrain is condensed at all. Because then it's like it's not what you see is what you get. I think there's one tank. Yeah, well, why are they all that close together? Well, they're really not. Okay, well, if they're really not, then why are they blocking their own fire? So it's a set of rules that's made to sell miniatures for the company that made the set of rules. That's just something I'm just not used to. I don't know if I'm ever going to be used to that. I'm used to stuff like Command Decision. He came up with the rules. He doesn't give a shit whose miniatures you use. They could be Roco mini tanks mixed in with Eschi models. He's got them. He's got mixed scales and stuff on things. Doesn't bother me. Doesn't bother him. But if people enjoy play a set of rules, let them play it. But I don't have to play it. I don't force anybody to play my super anal retentive crunchy rules. Many of you won't like it. But it motivates me to do all this extra detailing to these vehicles that otherwise I'd just be like, spray them green and throw them up there and put them in a row. All right, null and oil time. And we don't need very much of this. We've already done some of this before, but I do not like these lids. I wonder if I can... Let me play with the devil's... Let me play with the devil's backside by doing this. Let's move it over there. Okay, so we've got exhaust. And I'll be like, oh, you should use your airbrush. Yeah, I'm not that good at that. I don't have the kind of control or patience with the airbrush that I do. And that's gonna end up being really very subtle. And the barrel here. And then we'll come in and give it a light dry brush afterwards. I'm going to try to get some sleep. Hopefully overdose comfort doesn't keep me out. Okay, have a good one. You too, man. Now, after selling 40K stuff, I'll never buy another Games Workshop miniature again. Yeah, I don't blame you. You tried it. It doesn't work for you. Got more storms? Man, we got so many storms the last week. I actually had lightning that hit. I don't know if I told you guys this because it's probably on a day I couldn't paint, but I had lightning that hit within 100 feet of where I was at. You don't even have time for your ass to pucker up. And I was indoors. I am not a lightning fan. We got enough black on the end of that barrel. Leave that one alone. I was told that if the girls aren't up by 8, I have to wake them up. So I got another 15 minutes of freedom. I mean, time to myself. We gotta get bases for these guys. And we need to goop them so that way when I come back. Now, where the hell is the base material? Hopefully it's easy to find. Lion Rampant. Maybe we'll play that Monday, maybe we won't, I don't know. I want to play with 12-point forces. If people are vehemently against it, then I don't know, maybe I'll sell the rules. I'm not building more stuff for 15 millimeter. I'm going to play with the stuff I have, and if I can't play with the stuff I have, well then I won't play with it. I'm accepting no reasons to deviate from my creation of this stuff. I put this I put this away for way too long. All right, let's grab the JSU. Because it has a similar size. Their pricing is horrendous. Why buy a box of 5 miniatures for $60 and I can get a game or a bunch of smaller historical miniatures? Yeah, and they'll just end up discontinuing it. Okay, can this size base work for these vehicles? It can. I don't have to make it consistent, but I'd like to at least make an attempt to. All right. Now, can I find out which one of these is cut and which one's I cut? Probably not. I'm gonna go this way and get better use out of it that way. Do I have a pencil? Pencil seems to work better than pen. Pen will smear on this stuff. Well, let's see. This is probably not an arbitrary number. There's probably actually a rhyme or reason to the size that I used for this. So let's start at 20 here. Okay, so it's 5 centimeters wide. By 9 long. 5 by 9. All right. nice long T-square, but I don't. Well, enjoy. I'm off this time. Okay. Not coming back for a false alarm. I want to take all this shit off. Let's see. How about just move this to the edge. Move this to the edge. This is a weird plastic material. It almost seems, this is the evergreen stuff. It almost seems like it's got a lot of oil in it. All right, we want to pair a couple of 9s that are long. This stuff is relatively inexpensive, but and then we have an 18. What are we left with, by the way? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I need a smaller vehicle. Now I have a T-square here. Yeah, so I wouldn't have to measure from the other side so much. Measure once, check twice. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And I got some bases that are kind of cattywampus a little bit. I mean, it's not that noticeable, but it's just the principle of it. You want to do it right, or I want to do it right. So nobody else watching Black Mirror? I've forgotten there was a new season out, so I get excited when there's something I'm interested in watching programming, because there usually isn't. Now I need to put this, I'm going to go ahead and put a note on here. 50, I like using millimeters, 50 by 80. It's on both sides. What I just did, I probably should do it more often. Now I don't have to measure that. Sure, we'll find some vehicle that goes on that. I did do that right, didn't I? No. any sense. Did I fucking cut them wrong? Oh, well, I got more stuff to cut. That's just annoying. And that's not just you guys. I'm sitting there. And if I did, it's because I didn't start on the 1. Because if you start on the 1, well, you got to add. Yep, I fucking cut 2 of them. Ah, okay, well, we got to do it again. Shit happens. I wanted 2 of these. Well, this is the corners that I cut. You ready? I'm not cutting the big long thing. I'm just going to do this, and we're going to cut this piece out. F it. That's annoying. To go through all that, and then I measured the other thing wrong. Because I didn't start on the 1. I never added the 1 to it. Oh well. See, we make mistakes here. This is not edited content. Non-edited content. Are we even here? This stuff is really cheap. I just, it's stupid to be incompetent. And there goes the tippy tip of this thing. I tried to do a good job, but fate had other plans. So that's the last time I'm going to add 1 to the end. I'm just going to go off the end, and if it's inaccurate, it's fucking inaccurate, but that's annoying. Go through all that trouble. All right. See if I can get away with doing this. It's not like there aren't pieces I can use. It's just I'm not using them right now. Yep. Now, let's try it again. Remember, we're going to round off the corners. All right. That's the thing that changes now. I don't get discouraged by shit. It's like, oh, you want to fuck me? Screw you. I'm still going to finish this. This is the only thing I don't like about doing it is it gets caught in there. Which isn't a huge deal, but it's a slight nuisance. Yeah, they always say, because the end of the ruler could get pounded, so the dimensions on it are the same. So don't start at the end of the ruler. Start like on the 1. Yeah, but if you're a moron like I was and didn't add 1 to the measurement, then you ended up being with a smaller dimension. Oh well, shit happens. I should edit the video so people don't think that I make mistakes. Yeah, we all make mistakes, okay? And hopefully you learn from them. My takeaway from that's actually never happened to me before. So my takeaway is going to be like, we won't do that next time. We'll make a different mistake. One that's a little bit more glorious. it's just a wee bit too thick. It's gonna have to it takes a little bit of while for the clippers to go in there, but so far this method works pretty well. I don't want to stay here in town if it's going to be like this. I don't care about rain. I don't care for freaking thunderstorms. It doesn't have to be perfect. Good thing. I probably could stand to make as many of these that I'm going to do. Probably make some kind of something where I can cut it more accurately, but I just don't want to do it that bad enough. It's not that important to me. Let somebody else worry about that. We need some sandpaper. This stuff, I've had this forever. I can tell it's just like almost like brittle. I don't know if I use the new tool for this. It could be handy, but the new tool is going to stay in the garage. Which of course means I gotta work out there by myself, and I don't like doing this hobby stuff without you guys watching. Even if you guys do not find this interesting or important or helpful at all, the fact that I am filming it forces me to stay on track, and I can't just go oh shiny and go away after only working on this for 7.5 minutes. So that's really the reason I do it, is it forces me to stay on track for, look, over 2 hours. It's my way of getting things done. If it helps you guys in the process, that's awesome. Or entertains you, whatever. Okay, now we're going to rough up one side of it. Which I'm almost ready to order another one of these. Ground texture, rough gray pumice from Vallejo. And then this can sit over a couple days till I come back to it. Oh, of course I forgot the magnets. Let's put the magnets down so we have somewhere to grab this from. We're done with this. Let's put this away. Magnets are down here. I need to pick this area up. I got stuff every which way. And if there's something that I really don't care about being precise with, it's this. I already got a halvesy. Perfect. There's the bombardment. Mother Nature's such a whore. I'll tell you what. All right, we're going to go about from there to about here. rarely thunderstorms in the mornings here. Rarely. Okay. And then the one day there's no transom light problem because it's going to be rainy and I'm not going to be here at this time. We have thunderstorms. Well, we could use the rain. There's no doubt about it. We could definitely use the rain. It just doesn't need to come with lightning. All right. Now, you can attach this to here so you can move this around, not get this stuff all over you. And I'm going to do it anyways. All my stuff is magnetized, although, which is funny, I don't plan on traveling with this game. You'll come here to play it, or you won't play it at all. I'm putting on the game, making everything for it, and then I have to travel with it too and put it away? No. No. And this is going to be a weekend thing only. We're not playing this shit on Monday nights. I said maybe nobody wants to play this. That's cool. I'll solo it. We'll do videos online. Right now, I'm just making models that hopefully one day will be used in a game. If I want to play World War II stuff, there's lots of World War II stuff that's already on computer and what have you that I can have fun doing. This stuff is thicker than it is normally because it's the stuff that was on the edges that I pushed down into the mix last time I had this thing open. So technically these should dry quicker than most of it. The stuff in the middle, I don't need to cover it that well because it's going to be underneath the vehicle anyways. One more to do, and I gotta go wake the girls up, although I would imagine they're probably already awake with this bombardment we're under. Ooh, that's behaving really weird. Some of the newer stuff down there. Man, I'm ready for second breakfast. I didn't even know that was a Lord of the Rings thing. I just ate 3 hours ago, so. And it wasn't like it was a huge meal or anything. So, one thing I did forget to do, you don't want to leave these things in water because they are not, they might be stainless, but they're not very good stainless. They'll rust. So you're better off leaving the goop on them because it'll come off with water later than leaving it soaking in water and then you got a rust issue. As I did not paint these cables with the silver paint. Let's go ahead and do that quickly, and then we're off. As always, thanks for coming by, folks. But it's time for us to sign off anyways. And we're being chased by the storm also. Yeah. That goes on there, and then this goes on here as well. And now, these will dry, which if I was here, probably in 4 hours it'd be ready to roll. We will seal these whenever. I have to seal them before I put them on the stand. Yes, 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 yes. And here's the 2 kVs, so I can mark these guys off the completed list. Of course, they look a little brighter than they do in real life. Yeah, but all in all, pretty good. Pretty happy with them. So, as always, thanks for stopping by, folks. We'll catch you guys in the next one. And I will not be on tomorrow morning.